On a quiet evening in 2010, a newlywed couple checked into a historic downtown hotel. They wheeled their suitcases across the marble lobby, exchanged polite smiles with staff, and disappeared into the elevator. It was supposed to be the beginning of their honeymoon. By morning, their room was still untouched. Their bed unslept, their belongings untouched, their keycard never used again. The couple had simply vanished, inside a building that never let anyone leave unnoticed. When investigators arrived, they expected to find simple answers: an elopement, a fight, a secret plan. Instead, the hotel gave them nothing but silence. Security cameras showed the couple stepping into the elevator, doors closing, and then nothing. No footage of them leaving, no trace in stairwells, no witnesses, no alarms. The elevator swallowed them whole. For years, the case remained unsolved. Families begged for answers. Experts combed through blueprints and conspiracy theories spread. Some claimed the couple ran away together. Others whispered about secret tunnels beneath the city, or darker forces hidden in the hotel's century-old walls. Then, nearly a decade later, investigators uncovered something no one expected: a concealed elevator shaft, walled off and forgotten, running deep beneath the hotel. What was found there would turn the mystery from a disappearance into something far stranger. If this happened in your city, what would you believe? Where are you watching from? Comment your country. And don't forget to subscribe, because this story will make you think twice before stepping into an elevator alone. You picture the hotel before you ever step inside, the kind of place that wears its history like a badge. Built more than a century ago, it sits at the corner of two busy downtown streets. Its brickwork soot-stained but proud, its tall windows glowing amber at night. Tourists check in for the charm, business travelers for the convenience, couples for the romance of staying in a building that has stood since before their grandparents were born. It is a hotel that has seen wars, recessions, parades, protests. Its lobby is lined with photographs of celebrities who once passed through, smiling faces in black and white framed against velvet drapes. The staff wear crisp uniforms, polished shoes, practiced smiles. On the surface, nothing about this hotel suggests danger. But you've learned by now, some places hold secrets so well that no one notices until it's too late. On a mild spring evening in 2010, the couple arrived, newly married, still glowing with the nervous energy of people who have just promised their lives to one another. They wheeled two suitcases across the marble lobby. The clerk checked them in, offered congratulations, handed over a keycard embossed with the hotel's crest. Witnesses later recalled how ordinary they looked, laughing softly, leaning close, speaking in hushed tones meant only for each other. They didn't seem like people about to vanish, but wait. The shocking part comes next. The elevator doors slid open with a chime. They stepped inside, side by side, the bride holding her handbag close, the groom pressing the button for their floor. Cameras captured their faces for one last time. The doors closed. From that moment on, no one saw them again. Their room remained untouched. The bed unslept, pillows plumped as neatly as the housekeeper left them. Suitcases never unpacked, the bathroom towels still folded, soap still wrapped. The keycard never used to unlock the door. It was as if the couple had checked in only to step into thin air. The hotel staff noticed first. At checkout the next morning, when the couple didn't appear, housekeeping was sent to knock on their door. No answer. Hours passed. Calls went unanswered. By evening, police were contacted. At first, officers expected to find a lover's quarrel, a sudden departure, perhaps a spontaneous change of plans. But a search of the hotel revealed no such thing. Security cameras showed them walking across the lobby, entering the elevator, and vanishing. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. Detectives pored over hours of surveillance footage. Every hallway, every stairwell, every exit. There was no sign of them. No footage of them leaving the elevator on any floor. It was as if the elevator itself had erased them. The footage was clear, time-stamped, unbroken. They entered, the doors closed, and then Nothing. Rumors spread quickly. Guests whispered about ghosts. Staff whispered about curses. The local press dubbed it the Honeymoon Disappearance. Some claimed the couple ran away together, that they had staged their vanishing for reasons no one could know. But those theories crumbled when their belongings remained, when their bank accounts showed no activity, when families confirmed they had no debts, no secrets, no reasons to flee. They had simply vanished. The detective assigned to the case, a veteran with 20 years on the force, walked through the lobby himself. He rode the same elevator, pressing the same button, staring at his reflection in the mirrored walls as the doors closed. The ride was smooth, ordinary, unremarkable. But when the doors opened and he stepped out onto the carpeted hallway, he felt it, the sense that something had been missed, that the couple's journey hadn't ended here. But the shocking part came next. Blueprints of the hotel were pulled from city archives. Floor plans, schematics, renovations. At first glance, they matched the current layout. But tucked in the oldest set of documents, dated from the hotel's construction in the early 1900s, was a detail long forgotten. The elevator shafts. There were once more than the ones still in use. 2 had been sealed decades earlier, marked out of service, repurposed during renovations. According to the documents, one shaft ran parallel to the modern elevator, hidden behind walls, extending deeper than the basement itself. Investigators returned to the hotel, prying open maintenance panels, tapping on walls, searching for seams. In the service corridors, behind layers of plaster and paint, they found it. A bricked-over doorway, edges crumbling with age. When the bricks were chipped away, a black void yawned beyond. The forgotten shaft. Still, the real story hadn't even begun. They lowered lights into the shaft, ropes creaking as they descended. Dust choked the air. The walls bore scratches, gouges, names carved into the stone by hands long gone. At the bottom, decades of debris lay in heaps. Rusted machinery, broken furniture, scraps of clothing, objects no one could trace to any guest. But among the rubble, investigators found something chilling. A single high-heeled shoe, modern, clean, out of place. The bride's. The detective held it in his gloved hand, bile rising in his throat. If the shoe was here, had she been dragged down into this shaft? Or had she left it as a message? Proof that she and her husband hadn't simply vanished willingly. But the shocking part comes next. Forensics swept the area. They found fingerprints on the shaft walls, fresh compared to the dust-coated debris. They found fibers matching the groom's jacket. They found scuff marks on the metal ladder as if someone had climbed or been forced down. Yet no bodies, no remains, just silence. The detective climbed down himself, standing in the darkness, looking up at the circle of light from the opening above. He imagined the couple descending, confused, terrified, calling for help. He imagined the doors opening on the wrong floor, one that wasn't supposed to exist, and a hand dragging them inside. Still, no one could explain how. The hotel swore the shaft had been sealed for decades. Yet the evidence was clear. Someone had been inside recently. Someone had used it, and someone had left the bride's shoe behind. As the detective stood at the bottom of that shaft, the hum of the hotel above muffled by stone, he whispered into the darkness, "Where did you go?" The chapter closes with him lifting his flashlight, beam catching a set of initials scratched into the stone wall, barely visible under layers of dust. Not the couple's initials, someone else's. A name tied to another disappearance decades earlier, and you're left asking, how many others had stepped into that elevator never to return? You can still imagine the detective standing at the bottom of that forgotten shaft, the beam of his flashlight trembling across walls coated in dust and time. The initials carved into the stone linger in his mind, a signature left by someone who shouldn't have been there, someone whose name connected to a file he hadn't thought about in years, another disappearance long buried in the archives. It was no longer just about the couple from 2010. It was about a chain of vanishings tied together by the same silent shaft. He returned to his office with the high-heeled shoe sealed in a bag, his hands trembling as he placed it on his desk. He stared at it for a long time, imagining the bride clutching her husband's arm as they stepped into the elevator, never suspecting that it would deliver them somewhere they could not escape. He wondered if she had dropped the shoe deliberately, a final desperate act to leave behind proof, or had it been torn from her in the struggle, left as an afterthought by whoever or whatever dragged them down. But wait, the shocking part comes next. Blueprints of the hotel became his obsession. He spread them across his desk, cross-referencing old schematics with modern renovations. Corridors that no longer existed, ballrooms that had been sealed, service tunnels that led to nowhere. He traced each line, each change, each forgotten mark. And there, hidden in plain sight, he saw it. The shaft that ran deeper than the basement was once connected to another chamber. A sub-basement marked only in the original plans, sealed during Prohibition when the hotel was rumored to host speakeasies and hidden bars. He knew then that the shoe was not the end. It was the beginning. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. The detective gathered a team. Engineers, forensic experts, even a historian who specialized in the city's underground structures. Together they returned to the shaft, lowering themselves once again into the void. This time they brought tools. Jackhammers broke through the brittle stone at the shaft's base. Dust filled the air, choking their lungs. And when the last slab cracked away, a tunnel opened before them, air rushing out like a held breath finally released. Flashlights cut through the darkness. The tunnel sloped downward, walls dripping with condensation, the floor littered with rubble. They pressed forward, boots echoing, breath fogging in the cold. And then the passage opened into a chamber larger than any of them expected. The room was cavernous, its ceiling lost in shadow. Broken furniture lay scattered. Rusted pipes protruded like bones. Along one wall stood rows of lockers, doors bent and hanging. Against another, shelves sagged under the weight of crumbling boxes. But in the center of the room was the most chilling sight of all. A second elevator door. But the shocking part comes next. It wasn't an elevator that led anywhere. The doors were welded shut, their surface scarred with scratches. Handprints smeared across the metal, some small, some large, pressed in frantic desperation. The detective raised his flashlight higher. Words had been carved into the steel with something sharp, letters jagged and uneven. "Don't ride." His chest tightened. He stepped closer, pressing his ear to the door. For a moment he thought he heard something. A faint hum, like the one described by the maintenance crews in the main shaft. He stepped back quickly, bile rising in his throat. Still, the real story hadn't even begun. Because as they swept the chamber, one of the forensic technicians called out. He had found a wallet wedged between two broken boards. Dust-coated, leather cracked, but still intact. Inside was an ID. Not from 2010, but from 1984. A man who had vanished after checking into the same hotel. His disappearance had never been solved. Until now. The detective turned the ID over in his hand, his pulse hammering. Two sets of initials now tied to the same shaft. Two vanishings separated by decades, but united by the same black mouth beneath the hotel. But the shocking part comes next. They opened the lockers along the wall. Inside were personal belongings, some reduced to scraps by time, others shockingly preserved. A suitcase filled with clothing from the 1970s. A purse with lipstick tubes still rattling inside. A child's backpack with faded cartoon characters, each item tied to someone who had checked into the hotel and never checked out. The chamber became a mausoleum of absences, each object a ghost whispering its story. The team cataloged them, bagged them, laid them out in rows, and yet not one trace of the newlywed couple. No clothing. No ID. No remains. Still, the detective couldn't shake the feeling that they had been there. One of the engineers pointed out something else. Along the chamber floor were rails, faint and rusted, leading from the tunnel to the welded elevator doors. as if once, long ago, something heavy had been wheeled in and out. Machinery, carts, cargo. The rails vanished beneath the sealed doors. The detective crouched low, running his fingers along the cold metal. "Where do you go?" he whispered. The chamber answered with silence. Still, the real story hadn't even begun, because that night, after the team left, the detective lingered. He returned alone, flashlight beam dancing across the lockers, the shelves, the welded doors. He walked slowly, ears straining, and then he heard it. A faint sound, muffled beyond the elevator doors. Not the hum this time. Something else. A rhythm, a knock. 3 sharp raps against the steel. His breath caught. He froze, staring at the door. The sound came again. 3 raps. Then silence, he whispered, voice trembling. "Is someone in there?" No answer. Only the cold weight of silence. But the shocking part comes next. When he returned to his office, another envelope waited on his desk. No return address. No fingerprints. Inside was a single photograph. It showed the couple seated on the floor of a dark chamber, eyes wide, mouths open in mid-scream. Behind them, the welded elevator doors. On the back of the photo, "You're looking in the wrong place." The detective dropped the photo, bile rising in his throat. The couple was alive when the photo was taken. But where had it been taken? If not in the shaft, if not in the chamber, then where? He pinned the photo beside the shoe, beside the ID, beside the blueprints. His corkboard became a map of obsession. Each clue, each scrap, each whisper pointing to something bigger, darker, older. The chapter closes with him standing once again at the sealed doors, flashlight beam trembling, his hand pressed against the cold steel. He whispers, "If you're not here, where are you?" And you're left asking, had the couple been taken deeper still into a place even the blueprints refused to show? You picture the detective staring at the photograph, his hands trembling, his breath caught between disbelief and terror. The couple's faces are unmistakable, their fear frozen in the frame, the welded elevator doors looming behind them. The note's words burn in his mind. "You're looking in the wrong place." He knows what that means. Everything they've uncovered, the shoe, the initials, the wallets, the lockers, might only be the surface. The true story lies elsewhere, somewhere deeper, somewhere the blueprints never dared to map. He spreads the plans across his desk again. His eyes trace every line, every revision, every sealed passage. And then he notices it, a discrepancy. The oldest blueprints from 1912 show a service tunnel branching away from the sub-basement chamber. Later documents erase it completely. It isn't marked as sealed. It isn't marked at all. It simply vanishes from the record. But wait, the shocking part comes next. The next morning he returns with a smaller crew. They descend the shaft, cross the chamber, stop at the welded elevator doors. He kneels beside the wall where the tunnel once connected. His gloved hands sweep the surface. The stone feels solid but colder than the rest. He orders the team to bring the tools. Hours of hammering and drilling echo in the dark. Dust clouds choke their lungs. And then, with a hollow crack, the wall gives way. A narrow passage stretches beyond, air stale and thick. The detective's flashlight cuts into the darkness. The tunnel slopes downward, lined with bricks that sweat with moisture. They step inside, boots sinking into mud. The further they walk, the colder it grows until their breath fogs before them. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. The tunnel twists and drops, disorienting, as though designed to confuse. Along the walls, scratches appear, names carved hastily, tally marks etched into stone, desperate messages like "help us" and "no way out." Some are decades old. Others look fresh. The detective runs his gloved fingers across the grooves, his stomach knotting. This was not a forgotten utility tunnel. It was a passage walked by people who never returned. The team presses on. After nearly an hour, the tunnel widens into another chamber. This one is stranger. The floor is tiled, though broken and uneven. The walls are lined with mirrors, cracked and fogged. In the center of the room sits another elevator cage, its gate rusted, its cables dangling into blackness below. The detective approaches cautiously, flashlight beam bouncing across shattered glass. His reflection stares back in fragments, distorted and multiplied. His face scattered across every surface. He grips the gate, pulls. It groans open, metal screaming. He shines his light down the shaft. The beam falls into emptiness, deeper and deeper, until it fades into black. But the shocking part comes next. On the tiled floor beside the elevator lies a small object. He bends, lifts it. A wedding ring. Gold, scratched but still gleaming beneath the dust. Inside the band an engraving, the couple's initials and the date just weeks before they disappeared. His chest tightens. He whispers their names. The ring feels warm in his hand, impossibly warm, as though it had been held only moments ago. Still, the real story hadn't even begun, because as the team sweeps the chamber, one of them calls out. Behind a mirror cracked nearly in half, a hidden panel gapes open. Inside is a narrow crawlspace. The detective shines his light. The space is littered with scraps of paper, photographs, cassette tapes. He crawls in, heart pounding. The papers are hotel stationery, covered in frantic handwriting. They take us below. The doors open where they shouldn't. Don't trust the mirrors. He flips through the photographs. Guests posed in the lobby, smiling at the camera. But in the edges of each frame, barely noticeable, the same face appears. A man in a dark suit, always blurred, always watching. His presence threads through decades of photos. Different weddings, different conventions, always the same face, unchanged. The detective drops the photos, bile rising. Whoever he was, he had been here all along. But the shocking part comes next. One of the tapes is labeled 2010. His hands shake as he threads it into a portable player. Static hisses, then voices emerge. A woman sobs. A man shouting, muffled. And then, the grinding screech of metal like elevator cables straining. The hum rises, deep and vibrating. The same sound that haunted the basement chambers. Then faintly, a voice. We're still here. The tape cuts off. The detective yanks the cassette out, heart hammering. He whispers, they're alive. He clings to the idea, though he knows it might only be an echo. Still, the tunnel doesn't end there. The elevator cage in the center groans suddenly, the cables rattling as though tugged from below. Dust shakes from the ceiling. The mirrors tremble in their frames. The team backs away, terrified. The detective stands frozen, staring into the shaft. For a moment, he swears he sees movement in the black, a figure shifting, rising, almost human. He snaps his flashlight down. The beam catches nothing, just endless dark. They retreat, shaken, hauling the evidence with them. But the detective can't let go of what he saw, or what he thought he heard. The words echo in his skull. We're still here. But the shocking part comes next. Back at his office, he spreads the photos, the papers, the ring, the cassette tape. He pins them on the board, lines of string weaving connections. The man in the photograph stares back at him from every decade, unchanged. The ring gleams under the lamplight. The words from the stationery whisper from the walls, "Don't trust the mirrors." And then, as he sits alone, the lights flicker. For a split second, his window reflects not his own face, but 4 figures standing behind him. He spins, flashlight raised. The room is empty. His breath rattles, his heart pounding. The reflections linger in his mind. The chapter closes with him whispering into the empty office. If you're still here, where are you? And you're left asking, is the couple trapped in the depths of that forgotten elevator system? Or in a place that exists only when the mirrors open and the lights go out? You picture the detective returning to the hotel again, his body weary but his mind sharper than ever. He carries the ring, the cassette, the photographs, each clue heavier than the objects themselves. The elevator shaft has become an obsession, a labyrinth of steel and stone threading through the heart of the building. He knows the couple's trail hasn't gone cold. He can feel them like a pulse beneath the hotel's polished floors, a rhythm the staff pretend not to hear. The hotel manager meets him in the lobby, smiling with professional ease. But the detective notices how his hands fidget, how his eyes never meet the detective's fully. When pressed about the old blueprints, the manager insists the sealed shafts are just relics, dangerous, irrelevant. But his tone betrays him. Someone knows more than they're willing to admit. But wait, the shocking part comes next. That night, the detective sneaks past security, keycard borrowed, flashlight tucked beneath his jacket. He slips into service corridors where the walls are close and the air tastes of dust. His boots echo off tiles long untouched. He presses deeper to the hidden panel behind the mirrors, to the crawl space where the photographs were stored. The air here feels colder, heavier, as if the space itself resents being opened. Inside, he discovers more than photos. A ledger, leather-bound, brittle with age tucked between boards. Its pages list names, dates, room numbers. Some entries are crossed out. Others end abruptly. Many match names from missing persons reports spanning decades. The handwriting changes, but the entries never stop. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. As he flips the brittle pages, he notices something else. The couple's names written in the final line of 2010. Their entry ends with a symbol rather than a date, a jagged spiral, inked hard enough to tear the paper. His chest tightens. Whoever kept this ledger didn't just record disappearances. They marked them, cataloged them. He snaps photos of every page, heart racing, and stuffs the ledger back where he found it. But as he turns to crawl out, his flashlight beam sweeps across the mirror shards. For an instant, his reflection is gone. Instead, he sees the couple's faces staring back, mouths open in silent screams. He jerks away, smashing his head against the wall. When he looks again, only his reflection stares back. But the shocking part comes next. He stumbles from the crawl space, sweat beading, only to hear the sound of the elevator gate grinding open in the chamber beyond. The cables rattle, dust raining from the ceiling. The cage creaks as if weight bears down upon it. He lifts his flashlight, aiming toward the shaft. Something glimmers deep below, metal catching light, movement rising. His pulse spikes. The cage shudders, the cables tightening. Slowly, impossibly, it begins to ascend. The detective steps back, frozen. The gate rattles as though invisible hands are pulling it higher. He raises his weapon, shouting into the darkness, but his voice echoes uselessly. The elevator climbs until it stops abruptly. Halfway, silence follows, broken only by the faint sound of breathing. Not his, someone else's. Still, the real story hadn't even begun. He flees the chamber, but the sound follows him, footsteps echoing in perfect rhythm with his own. He bursts into the main hallway, gasping, flashlight flickering. The polished marble floors reflect his trembling silhouette. Behind him, the doors slam shut with a force that rattles the walls. Back in his office, he tries to rationalize, scribbling notes, connecting strings. But the evidence resists reason. The ledger proves the vanishings are systematic, recorded with intention. The cassette proves voices echo through the shafts, trapped or replayed by something unseen. The ring proves the couple left behind proof they were alive, at least for a moment. But the shocking part comes next. Another envelope arrives. Inside, a room key. Not a key card, but an old brass key, tarnished but engraved with a number. 414. The detective checks the registry. Room 414 has been closed for decades, listed as structurally unsafe. He knows he shouldn't, but he feels the weight of inevitability pressing on him. That night, he ascends to the 4th floor. The hallway is long, carpet faded, wallpaper peeling. Dust hangs in the air. Doors line both sides, each marked with polished brass numbers. He stops at 414. The door looks like any other, but colder somehow, wood warped, handle tarnished. The key slides in easily. The lock turns. The door creaks open. Inside, the room is pristine, untouched by time. Bed neatly made. Curtains drawn. A suitcase rests on the dresser, half-packed. But the detective knows this isn't a preserved display. It's a snapshot. A room frozen mid-use as though its occupant stepped out only minutes ago. His chest tightens. He flips open the suitcase. Inside are clothes. Modern, recent, the bride's dress folded neatly atop them. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. The bathroom door stands ajar. He pushes it open slowly. Flashlight beam cutting across white tile. Steam fogs the mirror, though the room is cold. In the condensation, words are scrawled with a finger. We're still here. He stumbles back, bile rising, heart hammering. He wipes the mirror with his sleeve. The words vanish, leaving only his pale reflection staring back. But the shocking part comes next. Behind him, the suitcase snaps shut. The bed creaks as though weight presses upon it. The curtains flutter, though the windows are sealed. He spins, flashlight darting across the room. No one there. Yet the air feels thick, pressing in from all sides. He flees, slamming the door behind him, clutching the brass key in his hand. In the hallway, his breath comes ragged, his mind reeling. The couple had been here. Their belongings, their words, their presence still lingered. But if they hadn't left this room willingly, then where had they gone? The chapter closes with him standing alone in the darkened hallway, brass key digging into his palm, his reflection faintly visible in the dusty mirror at the far end. Only, it isn't his reflection at all. It's theirs, and you're left asking, did the elevator deliver the couple to a hidden place within the hotel, or into the hotel itself, where its rooms keep secrets long after their occupants are gone? You can feel the detective's exhaustion now, but also the way obsession sharpens his focus. He no longer sleeps in his own bed. His nights are spent pacing between the corkboard plastered with photos, blueprints, and scrawled notes, and the hotel itself, where the shadows always seem to rearrange themselves just beyond the light. The brass key to room 414 digs into his pocket like a weight he can't let go of, proof that the couple's story isn't finished. He keeps replaying the steam-written message on the mirror. We're still here. Every time he blinks, he sees it again, fresh, dripping. He returns to the hotel the following night, drawn by something he can't explain. The manager avoids him now, muttering about liability, about damage to the property, about guests being disturbed. But the detective notices the way his voice shakes, the way he glances nervously toward the elevators as if they might open on their own. He knows more. They all do. But they won't speak it aloud, but wait. The shocking part comes next. The detective forces his way back to the shaft. His flashlight beam dances over the welded doors, the scrawled warnings, the rails that vanish beneath. He hears again the faint scrape of movement below, the whisper of cables shifting without cause. This time he lowers a recorder into the black void. Hours later, when he listens, the sound is unmistakable. Voices. A woman weeping. A man shouting a name. And then faintly, the grinding hum that vibrates his bones even outside the shaft. He leans back in his chair, headphones slipping, bile rising in his throat. They are still down there, somehow, somewhere. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. He brings in a structural engineer promising anonymity. They examine the shaft walls, the welded doors, the surrounding stone. Quietly, the engineer admits something chilling. The construction is wrong. The shaft goes deeper than records show. The foundation is riddled with passages that shouldn't exist. When pressed, he shrugs uneasily. Either someone kept building after the hotel was finished, or the hotel was built over something older. The detective clings to that thought. Something older. He returns to the archives, digging through dusty city records. He discovers a detail buried in yellowed newspapers. Before the hotel, the site housed a private sanatorium, shuttered after a fire in 1898. Dozens of patients vanished in the chaos, their bodies never recovered. The building was demolished, the land redeveloped. But what if not everything was destroyed? What if the shafts, the tunnels, the chambers were part of something predating the hotel entirely? But the shocking part comes next. He returns to room 414. The suitcase still sits on the dresser. The curtains still hang heavy, but now the bed is different. The sheets are disturbed, indented as though someone lay there recently. Dust trails lead from the bed to the bathroom where the mirror fogs once more. He raises his flashlight, heart pounding. The words scrawled into the glass this time are different. Find the other door. His chest tightens. He knows it refers to the shaft. But what other door could there be? Still, the real story hadn't even begun. The next evening, he lowers himself deeper into the sub-basement, ropes creaking as he descends past the welded doors. His flashlight sweeps the chamber, catching on something new. A seam in the wall, faint but visible, stone blocks misaligned. He presses prise and the panel shifts. Behind it lies a narrow corridor descending further. He squeezes inside, breath shallow, walls pressing close. The passage twists and drops until he emerges into another chamber, this one stranger than all the rest. The walls are lined with faded wallpaper, peeling in strips. Chandeliers hang askew, glass shattered, wires exposed. It looks like a ballroom abandoned mid-celebration, chairs toppled, glasses overturned. But the air is wrong. Cold, wet, humming. In the center of the ballroom is another elevator cage, this one ornate, brass bars twisted, cables dangling into black. But the shocking part comes next. On the dance floor, scattered like breadcrumbs, are personal belongings. A man's watch, a woman's purse, a child's toy car. Items spanning decades, styles from the 1920s to the present. As though this chamber swallowed not just the couple, but generations. The detective crouches, lifting the toy car. Its paint is chipped, its wheels rusted, but beneath the grime, initials are scratched into the metal. He recognizes them, same as those carved into the shaft wall. The initials that had haunted him since the first descent. His stomach lurches. These disappearances are not random. They are patterned, cataloged, connected. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. From the far corner of the ballroom, a door groans open. The detective raises his flashlight, beam trembling. Beyond the door stretches a narrow hallway lined with more mirrors. He steps forward, each reflection fractured, multiplied, his figure repeated endlessly. But then in one mirror his reflection is not alone. The couple stand beside him, hands outstretched, faces pale. He spins, no one there. He turns back. They remain in the glass, staring, pleading. He whispers, "Where are you?" His own reflection mouths the words back. Theirs do not. Their lips form something else. Below. But the shocking part comes next. The floor trembles beneath him, a low hum vibrating through the walls. The chandelier rattles, shards raining down. From the elevator cage, cables creak as though weight drags them. He backs away, flashlight beam darting. The ballroom seems to shift, the wallpaper patterns twisting, the mirrors fogging. He runs, bursting back into the corridor, heart hammering. Behind him, the hum grows louder until it feels like the walls themselves are breathing. He collapses in his office hours later, clothes torn, lungs burning. He lays out the watch, the purse, the toy car. Each one another ghost tied to the hotel. He pins them beside the photographs, beside the ring, beside the cassette. His corkboard is a graveyard now, every object a tombstone. But the shocking part comes next. Another envelope arrives. Inside, another photograph. The couple again. This time they are not screaming. They are seated calmly in a ballroom, hands folded, eyes staring directly at the camera. Behind them, the twisted elevator cage. On the back, they've stopped resisting. The detective grips the photo until his hands bleed. He knows what it means. The couple isn't just missing. They're being kept, changed, transformed into something that doesn't fight anymore. The chapter closes with him whispering into the dark. If you've stopped resisting, what have you become? And you're left asking, are the couple still human? Or has the hotel turned them into something that will never leave its halls again? You can see the detective unraveling now, his sanity stretched thin by the weight of the case. Days blur into nights and nights into sleepless dawns where only the corkboard of evidence keeps him tethered. The hotel has become his second skin, its corridors etched into his memory. its elevator shafts haunting his dreams. Every object he's collected, the ring, the shoe, the toy car, the photographs, pulls at him like anchors tied around his neck. Yet he cannot cut them loose. If he does, the couple disappears forever. The photograph from the latest envelope sits at the center of the board. The couple stares directly at him, their faces calm, their posture composed as if they've surrendered. The words on the back, they've stopped resisting. He can't decide which terrifies him more. The idea that they've given up, or the idea that something has forced them into compliance. But wait, the shocking part comes next. He decides to confront the hotel manager. This time he doesn't come as a guest or even as a detective. He comes as a man who has stared into the abyss too long. He lays the photo on the manager's desk. The man pales instantly, his mask of professionalism slipping. The detective presses harder, demanding answers. At first, the manager shakes his head, muttering about rumors and accidents. But when the detective slams the brass key down beside the photo, the manager breaks. He admits there are stories passed down among staff, whispers about the old elevators, about guests who vanished long before the 2010 couple. Maintenance workers heard screams in shafts sealed off decades earlier. Housekeepers saw reflections in mirrors that didn't match their movements. Some employees quit. Others stayed silent, fearing the hotel's reputation mattered more than the truth. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. The manager insists he knows nothing about the couple's fate. But he does confess one detail. There is a second set of blueprints hidden in the hotel's archives. Not the official ones, but plans drawn by engineers who worked during the Prohibition renovations. They marked areas unsafe that weren't structural hazards at all. They were places where the other elevator could appear. The detective demands to see them. Hours later, in a dusty back office, he finds them, rolled and brittle, tucked into a drawer no one had opened in years. He unrolls the paper across the desk, heart racing. The plans show something horrifying. A system of shafts not connected to any known floor, corridors that double back leading nowhere, doors drawn where no rooms exist, and scrawled in the margin in faded ink, "Never open both elevators at once." But the shocking part comes next. The detective returns to the ballroom chamber, where the twisted elevator cage stands. This time he isn't alone. He brings a trusted partner, someone who still believes he hasn't lost his mind. Together they force the cage open. The cables groan, dust raining from the ceiling. He steps inside, flashlight trembling. The shaft plunges into blackness below, cables vanishing into infinite dark. His partner lowers a rope and the detective descends. Every foot feels heavier, the air colder. His flashlight beam flickers against stone, then metal, then gaps where the shaft widens unnaturally. After what feels like hours, his boots touch down on solid ground. He swings the beam, breath catching. Still, the real story hadn't even begun, because at the bottom lies another chamber, one unlike the others. The walls are lined with doors, dozens of them, each marked with a number, each sealed. The detective approaches one, presses his ear against it. He hears faint sounds, a knock, a whisper, a voice crying. He jerks back, bile rising. He tries another. Silence. Another. Laughter, high-pitched, echoing. His pulse hammers. This isn't a basement. It's a prison. He forces one door open with a crowbar. The room inside is small, bare, with only a chair bolted to the floor. Burn marks scar the walls. The air stinks of ozone. But it isn't empty. On the floor lies a notebook, its cover torn. He picks it up, flipping through pages scrawled with desperate words. Day 3. The lights flicker even when power's out. Day 9. Voices whisper from the mirrors. Day 14. They want us to stop resisting. The notebook ends abruptly. But the shocking part comes next. In another room, he finds something worse. A collection of photographs pinned to the wall. Faces of guests, families, couples. Some smiling, some terrified. Among them, The couple from 2010. In one photo, they're standing in the hotel lobby holding hands. In another, they're seated in a small chamber, faces pale, eyes vacant. The last shows them side by side, staring directly into the camera as though they knew it would end up here. The detective tears the photos down, stuffing them into his bag. He whispers their names, swearing he won't abandon them. But when he turns, he notices something carved into the wall beside the photographs. 4 words, jagged and deep. The hotel keeps them. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. His partner urges him to leave, but he refuses. They pry open more doors, each revealing variations of the same nightmare. Some rooms contain only scraps of clothing. Others contain broken chairs, shattered mirrors, cassette players still whirring faintly. One contains a pile of personal effects, watches, rings, wallets, all tagged with room numbers. The couple's room key is among them. The detective grips it, fury burning in his chest. They were here. They are still here. Somewhere. But the shocking part comes next. From deep within the corridor, a low hum rises. The walls vibrate. The sealed doors rattle. Dust sifts from the ceiling. His partner shouts, pulling at his arm, urging him to retreat. But the detective stands frozen, eyes wide as the hum grows louder, deeper, until it feels like the floor is alive beneath his boots. Then from one of the doors a voice, clear, desperate, unmistakable, shouts his name. He lunges forward, pounding on the door, shouting back. His partner yanks him away as the hum crescendos, the air thick with pressure. The corridor feels like it's collapsing. They scramble toward the shaft, ropes swinging wildly. As they climb, the hum follows, echoing, hungry. They emerge into the ballroom, gasping, dust coating their clothes. The twisted cage slams shut behind them, the cables groaning as if pulled by unseen hands. The hum dies, leaving only silence. Still, the detective clutches the room key, the notebook, the photographs. Proof. They were there. They are still there. The chapter closes with him staring at the brass key in his palm, whispering, "If the hotel keeps them, how do I take them back?" And you're left asking, can anyone ever escape once the hotel decides to keep them? Or does every door only lead deeper into its grasp? You can feel the detective's body breaking down now, but his obsession burns brighter than ever. His hands shake when he pours coffee. His eyes are bloodshot, his voice rough. But when he speaks about the case, there's a fire that refuses to die. The board in his office has grown into something monstrous. Photographs pinned over blueprints, strings crisscrossing like veins, objects taped to corners, evidence bags stacked in piles. To outsiders, it looks like madness. To him, it's a map, a heartbeat, a living thing that whispers only one message. They are still here. The couple's photograph dominates the center. Their calm faces, their resigned eyes. The back reads, "They've stopped resisting." Every night he stares at it, daring himself to believe they are alive. Every morning he returns to the hotel, walking its halls like a man haunting rather than investigating. The staff avoid him now, whispering when he passes. Their eyes filled with fear, they try to hide. He knows they've seen things too. They just refuse to speak them aloud. But wait, the shocking part comes next. He discovers an old maintenance log, forgotten in the city's records. Buried among routine inspections and elevator repairs is an entry from 1973. It describes malfunctions in the secondary shafts. The engineer who wrote it noted strange vibrations, unexplained power surges, and elevators opening on unlisted floors. His report ends with a chilling line. Passengers report arriving at places not drawn on any map. No follow-up is recorded. No explanation given. The detective presses harder, visiting former staff, tracking down those who once worked behind the polished walls. Many refuse to talk. A few whisper warnings. One retired concierge, trembling, admits that he once saw a bride and groom step into the elevator and never step out. He swore the doors opened to nothing, a void yawning where a hallway should have been. He never spoke of it again, until now. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. The detective begins to dream of elevators. In his sleep he hears the cables creak, the hum vibrate, the gates slam. He wakes drenched in sweat, convinced he is still inside the shaft. Some nights he swears he hears voices echoing through his apartment walls, pleading, whispering, begging to be found. The line between his life and the hotel blurs until there is no difference. He isn't just investigating the couple anymore. He is part of the hotel's story, and then another envelope arrives. Inside, a brass token, tarnished and heavy, stamped with the hotel's crest. On the back, basement level 3. The detective's pulse hammers. According to every record, the hotel only has 2 basements, but the shocking part comes next. He returns that night, descending through service corridors with his partner at his side. They pass the first basement where the kitchens hum. They pass the second where the boilers roar. And then, hidden behind a panel, they find a stairwell spiraling downward. The air grows colder, damper, heavier. Dust clings to their throats. The stairs end at a rusted door stenciled with faded letters, B3. The detective pushes it open. The corridor beyond is silent. Long, narrow, lined with doors on either side. The walls are damp stone dripping with condensation. Their flashlights sweep across tarnished plaques, each door marked not with numbers but with years. 1921, 1946, 1963, 1984. He steps closer, heart pounding. Each year matches a disappearance recorded in the ledger. Each door a tomb. Still, the real story hadn't even begun. He tries one door. It groans open, revealing a room filled with photographs pinned to every surface. Faces of guests, their smiles warped by age. In the center of the room sits a broken elevator chair, straps dangling. The walls hum faintly, vibrating with the same unnatural rhythm he's heard before. He slams the door shut, bile rising. Another door reveals a room filled with luggage. Suitcases stacked to the ceiling, tags still attached, names faded. Dust coats every surface, but some bags look disturbingly recent. Their zippers uncorroded, their handles clean. He runs his hand over one tag and whispers the bride's name. But the shocking part comes next. They reach a door marked 2010. His partner hesitates, urging him to stop, but he pushes forward. The door creaks open, hinges screaming. Inside, the room is pristine. 2 chairs sit side by side, straps dangling. On the floor lies a Polaroid camera, film still inside. He lifts it, breath trembling, presses the button. The camera whirs, a photograph sliding out. He shakes it, watches the image develop, and then his chest freezes. The photograph shows him and his partner standing in that very room, though he only took it seconds ago. He drops the camera, bile rising in his throat. The room feels alive, watching, breathing. He drags his partner out, slamming the door behind him. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet, because at the far end of the corridor stands another elevator. Its brass doors gleam faintly, uncorroded, as if untouched by time. The detective approaches cautiously, heart hammering. He presses the call button. The doors slide open with a chime. Inside, the cage glows faintly blue. He hesitates. His partner grips his arm, whispering, "Don't." But the detective can't stop. He steps inside. The gate clatters shut. The cage shudders. And then, impossibly, the elevator begins to descend. Below B3, into places not marked on any blueprint. The hum rises, vibrating his bones, shaking his teeth. He clutches the bars, sweat pouring. The numbers above the door flicker, stutter, then vanish. The panel shows nothing but static. The descent feels endless. The walls pressing closer, the air thicker. He whispers, "Where are you taking me?" But the shocking part comes next. The cage lurches to a halt. The doors creak open. The detective shines his flashlight into the dark. Before him lies a vast hall, its walls lined with mirrors. In each reflection, faces stare back, hundreds of them, layered, overlapping, mouths open in silent screams. Among them, the couple's faces, eyes wide, hands pressed against the glass as though begging to be pulled free. He stumbles forward, pressing his palm to the mirror. The glass feels warm, pulsing. The couple's hands meet his from the other side. He shouts their names. Their lips move, forming words he cannot hear. His partner yanks at his shoulder, screaming for him to leave. But he cannot. He leans closer, straining to hear, to understand. The hum crescendos, shattering glass, plunging the hall into chaos. Reflections ripple, faces blur. The couple vanish in the fragments. The detective staggers back, cut by shards raining from the ceiling. His partner drags him into the elevator cage as the doors slam shut. The cage lurches upward, rocketing through darkness. They collapse back in B3, gasping, bleeding, trembling. The detective clutches his hand, sliced by glass, blood dripping. But he doesn't care. He whispers, "They're alive. I saw them. I touched them." The chapter closes with him staring at his bloody palm, convinced it is proof. The couple is trapped within the hotel's mirrors, screaming to be freed. And you're left asking, if they are still alive inside the glass, what price must be paid to pull them back? And will the hotel ever let anyone leave once it has decided to keep them? You can feel the detective's resolve harden, even as his body weakens under the weight of everything he has seen. His hands are cut from shattered glass. His sleep is fractured by voices whispering through the night. His sanity frays with every hour spent inside the hotel's walls. Yet none of it matters, because he has touched them. He has seen them. The couple is alive, or something close to alive, trapped in mirrors that reflect more than simple images. He will not stop until he drags them back into the world. The board in his office is no longer just evidence. It is a shrine. Objects from decades of vanishings hang alongside the couple's photographs. The brass key, the cassette, the toy car, the shoe, the notebook. Every string points to the same place, the hotel itself. The building is not a shell that hides secrets. It is the secret. It has always been the cage. But wait. The shocking part comes next. Another envelope arrives. This one thicker than before. Inside are photographs, dozens of them. Faces of people who vanished across the decades. Each one pressed against mirrors, eyes wide, mouths open, palms flat against the glass. The couple appears in the final photo, their faces calm now as though they have surrendered. Scrawled across the back of the stack is a single message. The hotel keeps what it wants. The detective trembles, bile rising in his throat. He whispers, "Not anymore." Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet. He returns to the hotel one last time, partner at his side. They descend past the first basement, past the second, down to B3. The brass elevator waits, its doors gleaming faintly as if expecting him. His partner begs him to stop, to let it go, but he cannot. The cage rattles as they step inside. The hum rises immediately, vibrating their bones. The doors slam shut and the descent begins again. The ride feels different this time. Faster, hungrier. The walls blur as though the cage is falling through layers of time rather than stone. Numbers on the panel flicker in nonsense, digits scrambled, letters appearing where numbers should be. His partner grips the bars, knuckles white, eyes wide with terror. The detective closes his eyes, whispering the couple's names, but the shocking part comes next. The cage halts abruptly. The doors open, revealing not a hall of mirrors, but something stranger. A vast ballroom, pristine and glowing, chandeliers blazing as if alive. Guests in formal attire stand frozen in place, glasses raised, faces expressionless. Among them, the couple stands side by side, hands clasped, staring directly at him. He steps forward, heart hammering. He shouts their names. They blink as if waking. Slowly, their faces crack, terror spilling through calm facades. They open their mouths, screaming silently. The ballroom ripples, chandeliers flicker, and the guests dissolve like smoke. Only the couple remains, still screaming, hands reaching. Still, the real story hadn't even begun. The mirrors return, hundreds of them rising from the floor, dropping from the ceiling, sliding across the walls. The couple is pulled backward, sucked into glass. Their palms slam against the surface, eyes wild, pleading. The detective lunges, pressing his hand against the mirror. The warmth pulses again, blood from his cut palm smearing across the glass. For a heartbeat, he feels them grip his hand from the other side. Then the hum explodes. Mirrors shatter outward, shards slicing skin, reflections multiplying endlessly. The couple's faces split into dozens, hundreds, each screaming differently. His partner drags him back, shouting as the ballroom collapses into chaos. But the shocking part comes next. The detective stumbles into the elevator cage, clutching a shard of glass where the couple's faces still shimmer faintly. The doors slam, the cage rockets upward, walls groaning, cables screaming. They burst into B3, coughing, bleeding, trembling. The shard glows faintly in his hand before dimming into dull glass. He collapses, whispering, "I had them. I almost had them." His partner begs him to stop, to walk away before the hotel takes him too. But he cannot. He pins the shard on his board alongside every other object. It gleams faintly even in the dark. Proof. A fragment of the place where the couple still waits. Still, the truth hadn't surfaced yet, because the detective begins to notice something new. At night in his apartment, mirrors reflect more than they should. In the corner of his eye, he sees the couple watching him, sometimes calm, sometimes screaming, sometimes silent. His reflection lags behind his movements, delayed by seconds. His voice echoes twice when he speaks. The hotel has followed him home. Another envelope arrives. This one empty, save for a small brass key, not engraved with a number this time. Just a single word scratched into the metal. Return. The detective grips it until blood seeps from his palm. He knows what it means. The hotel hasn't finished with him. It never finishes. The chapter closes with him standing before the hotel at dawn, the shard of glass in one pocket, the brass key in the other. The building looms against the sky, windows dark, doors waiting. He whispers, "If you won't let them go, then take me instead." And you're left asking, will the detective vanish as the couple did, swallowed by mirrors and shafts, or will he finally force the hotel to give up what it has kept for decades? The couple was never found. The detective's fate remains uncertain. The hotel still stands, its elevators humming, its mirrors waiting. Some say the building is cursed, feeding on lives it refuses to release. Others insist it is a machine, built over tunnels older than the city itself, designed to keep passengers who step into the wrong elevator. And some whisper that the couple is still alive, trapped behind glass, screaming to be freed. So what do you believe? Did the hotel consume them? Or is there another world hidden in its mirrors, waiting for the next person who dares to ride the elevator? Tell us your theory in the comments. Some stories were never meant to stay buried. Don't let them vanish, and keep them alive with us.